Welcome to this yin yoga for inflexible people practice. My name is Eckstrom, co-founder of Inner Dimension Yoga, and this practice doesn't need any props. We're going to be low to the ground most of the time, and what we're going to be doing is avoiding a lot of the movements that can be risky if you're fairly inflexible for the spine. So a lot of times in yoga, you're doing different kinds of forward folds, whether they're standing forward folds or seated forward folds. Today, we're gonna stay supine on the back. We're gonna stay laying on the back anytime we straighten the legs. And that's on purpose because it is one of the safest ways to access the hamstrings without putting your spine at risk. So my hope is that you'll come back to this practice over and over again and start to sense a little bit more pliability in the body. Start reclining on your back. Bend your knees. Open your feet wider than your hips and drop your knees together. You can cactus your elbows the height of your chest and just close your eyes as you take a few breaths. And for some people, we might already feel a stretch. You might already feel a stretch across the chest, in other places in the body, and your job is not to judge any sensation that you're noticing, but noticing the sensation without labeling it as good or bad, right or wrong. You don't need to like it or dislike it. It can just be there. And this is part of the practice of discernment in yoga. And at the end of the day, you're the only one that can discern the difference between something that's a strong sensation versus something that is pain. In all practices of yoga, we should never be in pain. But we are interested in tension. We are interested in discomfort. So take a breath here. And then as you exhale, just start to windshield wiper your knees side to side, which means that your feet are gonna stay wide, and then you're gonna drop the knees to the right, and they might stay quite a bit off the floor. That's okay. And then spin the soles of the feet flat to the floor. Notice that the feet still stay wide, and then drop the knees up and over to the left. And your job is not to get them to the floor. Let your body stop where it stops. You don't need to force anything. And then a few times side to side, just on your own, spinning the soles of the feet flat, dropping the knees to the right, spinning the feet flat, dropping the knees to the left, and just back and forth in this way as we start to get into the seat of the body a little bit, into the outer hips, really kind of waking things up. That's our only job here, just waking things up. And then the next time you come through center, reach down, give your knees a little squeeze, and then keeping your knees into your chest, drop your head back, spread your arms out wide, and then just drop your knees over to the right. So you're taking a really easy twist. You might place your left hand to the outer edge of your left knee. And if your knees don't make it to the floor, your job is not to force them down onto the earth. Easy spinal twist here, stacking the left hip on top of the right while still reaching your left arm over to the left side. Inhale the knees back to center, spread the arms out wide, and then drop the knees up and over to the left. And then maybe opposite hand to the top knee. Chest spreading, breath steady. And staying maybe a little longer than you would if you were doing this by yourself. You know, if you were just kind of going through the motions after another workout or at the gym, you might not stay here for quite as many breaths. And in yin yoga, generally speaking, we would want to be in the postures anywhere from 3 to 5 minutes. Now, when we're new to the practice, that can be an incredibly long time, so we're not going to stay that long today, but just a little bit longer than you usually would, and we start to expand that window of tolerance. Inhale your knees back to the center, and then rock yourself up to sit. Sweep your feet around and come into tabletop pose. Wrists underneath shoulders, knees underneath hips. And we're just gonna link the breath to the movement and articulate the spine while also accessing the hips and the shoulders. On an inhale, drop the belly, lift the sitting bones to the sky, gaze ahead. And then exhale to tuck your tail, round the spine, and spread the shoulder blades across your back. And a few times back and forth like this on your breath, and it's okay to go slow. In this practice today, the poses that you're moving through provide support for your tight hips, glutes, and back body muscles with minimal strain. We're really trying to avoid the strain, especially if we're tight from a history of injury, maybe a history of other athletic endeavors. And so this practice should not strain you at all. And then come through a flat back, bring your big toes together, open your knees out wide, and press back into child's pose. Now, what that means is that generally speaking, the forehead would come to the earth, but for a lot of us, if we're pretty inflexible and tight, that's not gonna happen. So you can create fists with the hands, make a little pillow with the fists, and then rest your forehead on the fists. Another common occurrence here is that people are tight in the ankles and then their feet start to cramp. So if that starts to happen for you, it's okay to lift your hips and tuck your toes for a moment, stretch the arches of your feet out, and then untuck your toes and press back into child's pose. And we're not gonna stay here very long, but because it is a foundational posture in yoga, we wanna have a moment here. And child's pose is also a form of a forward fold. And maybe you're noticing that just by folding the body in this way, you're getting into the hip flexors, the quadriceps, the tops of the feet, the knees, all these places that are being touched by this simple movement. On an inhale, lift the forehead. Crawl the hands forward, come into a modified version of an upper push-up, of a plank pose. Knees behind the hips, we're just passing through. Take an inhale, and then exhale, bend the elbows, lower your sternum down onto the mat, and then slip your elbows forward. So really, looking at the screen, if you haven't done this pose before, coming into Sphinx pose, look down at your elbow. Your elbow is right underneath your shoulder on both sides, and that is allowing you to press your chest away from the earth, coming into one of the gentlest back bends in yoga called Sphinx. And you're gonna take several breaths here. And you're imagining that you could pull the flesh of your forearms back as you pull the flesh of your chest forward. And at the same time, still trying to lift your belly button off the floor. It doesn't mean it's gonna happen, but we don't wanna collapse into the mid-back. So the belly button is lifting up and off the floor, so the front body is still engaged. Now, if this all feels a little bit tricky for you, I want you to remember, you're not bad at yoga, you're just at the beginning. This is how the journey unfolds. Flexibility isn't a requirement in a yoga practice, but it is a side effect of showing up. So you don't need to be flexible to do yoga, but it is a trait that might appear more in your life if you continue to show up in the practice. And take one more inhale here. Then exhale, flare the elbows, make a pillow with the hands, rest the forehead down onto the earth. Take a second. You might rock the hips a little side to side to take that back bend out, just to recenter the back body. And then bring the hands by the low ribs, wrists underneath elbows, and 3 baby cobras here, so a little slightly different back bend. Inhale, lift the heart and roll the shoulders back. Exhale, heart, chest, and chin all the way down to the mat. 2 more times. Inhale, shoulders roll. Exhale, heart, chest, and chin down. Inhale, last time, shoulders back and elbows in. Exhale, heart, chest, and chin to the mat. And then press onto the hands and knees. Crawl your knees forward, sweep your feet around you, and come all the way onto the back. And as you come onto the back, bend the knees and place the feet flat, but have the feet sitting bone distance, so they're not as wide as the mat. Cross the right ankle over the left knee, making a figure 4 shape, and then just wrap the right thigh forward toward the front of your mat. Most of us are gonna stay here. This is a perfect place to be. So if you already have a sensation of stretch in the right hip, you do not need to go any further or deeper. Stay right here and breathe. Alternatively, you could draw the left knee into the chest and wrap the hands around the left knee, or if the left knee is sensitive, you could wrap the hands behind the left hamstrings. But if that causes you to round forward and it lifts you up and off the floor, then that's not the pose for you. Place your left foot down, let the right ankle stay above the left knee, and just be right here in the enoughness of this shape. And we flex the right foot, turning the strap of muscle on along the front of the right shin, which is one of the ways that we protect the right knee. And take several breaths here. Now, if the left knee was lifted and if the thigh was pulling into the chest, go ahead and lower the left foot back down onto the floor. Then hug the right knee into the chest, wrap the hands behind the right thigh, and extend the right leg up toward the sky. So this is what I was talking about at the start of practice. If we are highly inflexible, if we are tight in the hamstrings, the glutes, and the many muscles of the back body, the safest way to forward fold is by laying on the back. So by flexing the right toes towards your face and then pressing the right thigh into your cupped hands, you might already have a lot of sensation. You could stay here. You could extend the left leg forward towards straight, but your job is not to yank your right leg up and over your head. Just simply see if you can imagine puffing your many hamstring muscles up and pressing them forward into your cupped hands behind your leg. And breathe. You know, I know for myself, I do a lot of cross training. I lift heavy weights, I run, and my body's not as flexible as it used to be. So even this for me has a lot of sensation. It's a great place to be, to let things open up. And the research shows that when we're working at 30% of our maximum capacity, we actually gain more mobility and flexibility. So how amazing that 30% is enough. Take a breath. Rebend your right knee, hug your right knee into your chest, and if your left knee is still bent, now go ahead and straighten it. Right knee hugs in, reach your right arm out to the right, take your left hand outside your right knee, and then cross your right knee over your body. Now, your right knee might be floating in the air, and that's okay. Your job is not to push it to the floor. Keep reaching your right arm to the right, ground your right shoulder to the earth. And what we're doing is stacking the right hip on top of the left while keeping the shoulders square to create a twist with integrity. So one part of the body, the shoulders, stay neutral while the hips stack and twist. And breathe. As if you could breathe down into that little pocket of the kidney band. And inhale back to the center, hug the right knee in, hug the left knee in, and then place both feet on the floor, coming back into that neutral position. And this time, left ankle above the right knee, wrap the left thigh forward, and again, you're just checking in here. Really, is this enough? And be honest with yourself. How much of your life have you been pushing past enough? And what have the consequences of that been? For many of us, probably some form of injury or overexertion. You could stay here, or if it makes sense and it doesn't over-round your spine or pull your head, your neck up off the floor, you might hug the right thigh into the chest, but that might come with time. You know, what if it were okay that the simple version of the pose was the best version for you? So that foot might stay grounded on the earth as you flex the left toes back. You turn on the strap of muscle along the left shin, and you keep actively wrapping the left thigh forward. A few breaths. Hug the left knee into the chest. Extend the left leg up toward the sky, cupping the hands behind the left thigh. Drawing the left toes toward the face, and already that might be a lot of sensation. You can stay just like this. Or if it's appropriate for your body, you can reach the right leg forward. Now there might even be some instances where extending the left leg up and holding the back of the left leg pulls you up and off the earth. You could always take a towel, like a hand towel, and wrap it behind the leg and hold that to give you a little bit more space if that were the case. I want you to remember, especially if you're at the beginning of your yoga journey, that there's always a place for you in this practice. And it's just about learning what that place is. Sometimes we have to learn the modifications. And that just takes time, and sometimes it takes finding the right teacher. And breathe. And that same intention that we're gonna stay a little bit longer than we would if we were by ourselves, just kind of passing through a few stretches at the gym. Just kind of getting into that fascial tissue so that the nerves can communicate more efficiently, the muscles can slide and glide over each other more efficiently. And rebend the left knee, hug the left knee into the chest. Reach the left arm out to the left side, and then cross the left knee over the body. And again, it's not about forcing the knee to the floor. It's actually about opening the left side of the chest away from that top left hip as the left hip stacks so that one space is neutral, the shoulders, and one space is stacking, the hips. And then send your breath down into that kidney band pocket at the low back. Last little squeeze. Inhale back to center, left knee into the chest, right knee into the chest. both feet to the floor. Spread the arms out, soles of the feet together, knees open out wide. We're not gonna be here long. So just being in mid-air in this way. Some people might have a lot of shaking in the inner thighs, in the outer hips. The knees might be away from the earth quite a bit. So with the work you've done, we're just kind of checking in with the mobility and the flexibility of the hips. So for a moment, soles of the feet together, knees spread away from each other. They find their organic stopping point. And then reach the hands to the outer thighs, spin the soles of the feet flat, drop your arms by your sides and hold the edges of your mat. As you hold the edges of your mat, press into your feet, tuck your shoulders under, and then lift your hips up into an easy, simple bridge pose, bridging the hips away from the earth so that you touch into the hip flexors for a moment. After all the work you've done, little squeeze of the glutes, take an inhale, and then exhale, lower the upper back, the middle back, and the lower back down onto the mat. Reach down, hug and squeeze the knees into the chest, curl the forehead up, take a full breath in, and then as you exhale, extend the legs. Spread the feet away from each other, spread the arms out. And this is a moment of integration. In yoga, it's what we call shavasana. It's the final resting pose. And it's not something to be missed or to be skipped. It serves a purpose. So you surrender the effort of the practice, and for a moment, you allow your physiology to respond. No efforting in the body, no efforting behind the breath as you take a moment to rest. This next breath to be a little bit deeper. Spread the fingers, spread the toes, rebend the knees into the chest, and rock your way up to sit. As you come up to sit, find a cross of the legs, bring the hands together at the heart, bow the chin. Acknowledge yourself for showing up, for doing something that maybe you otherwise would have avoided entirely, and celebrate the win. Celebrate the win that is associated with showing up for yourself in your practice, knowing that you're making great strides every single time you do. Thank you so much for sharing your practice with me today. Namaste. If you'd like to deepen your practice, follow the link below to Interdimension Yoga. When you join, your first 10 days are free. There's so many accessible classes there in yin yoga, restorative yoga, but also in the power yoga practices that are great to help you get your body moving, to increase the flexibility that you're yearning for so that you can have a high sense of vitality and vigor in your life. When you do, you'll get access to a full library of classes plus other amazing teachers from around the world. If you haven't already, please click subscribe so I can keep sharing these practices for free, and I so look forward to deepening the practice with you. Thank you.